Buying a house is honestly madness. What if all this can be done within, instead of 90 days, what if it can be done in a day's time? If you had the opportunity to embed NFTs into the entire real estate process, so much easier. Listen, I don't want to compare this space to the internet because it's so much different. It is so much different. And if you don't like it, you don't have to follow me. I'm like the Ric Flair of this space. You like me or you're not. And I'm okay with it. But you know what? When you see me at those conferences, you shake my hand. So it's all good.
What up, it's Mr. X to the Z exhibit.
What's up, guys? It's Andy Frisella.
This is your boy Foul Monk.
This is Ryan Serhant.
This is Shingy.
Hi, it's Patrick
This
McNiven.
is Sonia Zarbatani.
This is Director X.
Hey everybody, I'm Forbes Riley.
Yo, this is Goldie.
This is Amberly Lago.
This is Chris Voss.
Michael Francis here.
Yo, this is Charlie Tuna.
Hey, what's up? It's Billy G.
And you're listening to The Run GpG
Podcast.
I'm going to go hang out and listen to David's next podcast from The Run GpG.
You might hear something you like. Peace.
As founder and CEO of Golshtein Media, David Gokhshtein is not only a successful entrepreneur, but is also a highly sought-after consultant in the blockchain industry. His expertise is focused on marketing, branding, and startups working with digital assets, NFTs, institutional finance, and many more aspects of the industry. David's presence is notable with a large following on Twitter, other social media platforms, as well as public appearances and contributions to Fox Business, Sky News, industry events, and more. David, welcome to the Run GpG podcast.
What's going on, Dave? Pleasure to be on here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, well, happy to have you. Excited to have you because the timing of this couldn't be more perfect. You know, so much has happened in the world of crypto, blockchain, NFTs, and of course, Web3. But before we get into the current state of the union, as I was saying, I want to give some context to the discussion. So I want to go back to the beginning, if that's okay. How and when did you get into the crypto industry, into tech, and what was the genesis of Gokhshtein Media?
I would say I got into tech at an early age. Forget about I guess crypto then and blockchain. I got into tech really early because I had family members that were, coders. So I was always interested in, I had a Commodore 64. If anybody goes back to that, it just showed my age. So I was working on that. I thought I was doing something. I was actually doing nothing. And I had the Atari and stuff, and I would try to doodle and fix it up on my own kind of thing. But yeah, I was always into tech. I love tech. And then, at 14, I started building forums so I can have conversations with people outside of AOL. Oh my God, really showing my age. But outside of AOL chat rooms.
We're long in the tooth, David. We're long in the tooth. Yeah.
Right. I remember those AOL chat rooms, only 23 people can fit in and stuff. And we're talking about modems here. Okay. We're not talking about T1 lines. But yeah. And then, I slowly, 10 years ago, got into this industry, and I was really interested in blockchain at first, and then it led kind of into Bitcoin, and then everything else came along with it. So I appreciate this space a lot. I've learned a lot from finances to economics. This space has taught me a lot, and it continues to teach me.
Yeah. So about 10 years ago, you said you got into crypto, right?
Yeah.
Roughly, that sounds about right for anybody who is, been involved in this space for a long time. First time we heard about it was many years ago. Whether we dipped our toe in the water back then is it's very rare to find the people that did maybe 10 years ago. But so what was the genesis of Gokhshtein Media? How did that start? And what was the mission of that company from the beginning?
So being in the industry, there was a time where a lot of people would come into the space and everything's broken down to them in C++, C++. Basically, everybody's speaking code, and most people don't understand. I don't even want to say most people, but I would say 95% of the people coming in don't understand what you're saying, and nothing's being broken down in layman's terms. And I'm there's not a lot of media companies out here, or even news outlets, just breaking it down in simple terms at the ground floor. I was like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and start a magazine. Let me start a magazine and break it down for people that are just coming into the space so they can at least onboard themselves. That was really the mission. I'm going to hire a few people. I'm going to start this magazine, and allow people to get in on the ground floor. I didn't charge anybody. It was all out of my pocket. And if anybody knows anything about magazines, it's not a moneymaker. I'm talking about you bleed out your tail. Like you really bleed out your tail on magazines. But to me, it was more about, bringing adoption to the space. Like I'm really serious about bringing people into the space and giving everybody the same opportunity that I was given. And I was given this opportunity by a guy who consistently, I say 10 years, but it was, I could say 12, 13 years, because there was a guy literally telling me, get in. And I was like, no, you're crazy. Like, this is crazy. But that's only because we were stuck in this whole narrative of here's the fiat system. You're programmed into it. Enjoy it. And here's how, it's great that you have potential, but you're just limited here. And then when you finally get woke to this whole, situation at hand, especially look at that economy and all that, you start to understand, okay, that guy really wasn't crazy. He was onto something. So, the magazine then led into the media company, which, which at this point, I feel is one of the top 10 media companies in this space, providing constant content. And it's not just we're just throwing out content. We're out there in the trenches talking to people as they come in. I don't care how many followers I have. I don't care how big we are. I still, 20 years, 30 years down the road, I will continue to be in these spaces, in the trenches, to bring adoption and give people the opportunity to get in. So yeah, that's what the media company is about. And shout out to, my partner, Ross McDonald over there, who works hours upon hours to go ahead and make sure that everything goes through without a hiccup.
Yeah, Ross is doing a great job. Thanks for the breakdown there. Now, it's really interesting. One of the things I like about what you do specifically in Gokhshtein Media is it's no nonsense, cut to the chase, very blunt in a lot of ways. As we were saying, before, we just had Ty Lopez on. We were talking about the pseudo intellectuals in the space. Everybody's got something to say, and you can debate in long form conversations about everything Web3, blockchain, cryptocurrencies. However, it's nice to have an outlet like yours where we just get to the point. We just get to the point. Was that deliberate or was that organic? That's
just my personality, Dave. Yeah. Like my personality is like bleep, and this is how I feel, and this is what you're going to get. It's raw, and there's no filter on this mouth. It's just like my show. Like there's no filter. Like I'm going to tell you how I feel. I can be right, I can be wrong, but like if I'm wrong, then let me know, and we'll have a discussion, and I'll be open-minded to learning about it. But I'm here to. I don't have a narrative, and that's how G Media is. Like we don't have a narrative. We're gonna present you the news. We're gonna present you all that educational material. Take it upon yourself now to figure out which side you're going on, if you're going to the left or to the right. We don't have an agenda, and I feel like mainstream media does. Like every single time I go onto a news show, they have an agenda, and that is how can we sort of, number one, they don't even understand the space, but how do we go ahead and beat down this space? I'm not with it. I'm like, no, that this is not going to be the narrative. And we need to present this to the public to where they understand. And I go back to the education part and to dumb it down at the ground floor to allow people to understand. So yeah, I'm gonna speak my truth. And if you don't like it, you don't have to follow me. I'm like the Ric Flair of this space. You like me or you're not. And I'm okay with it. Don't care. You can cuss me out. But you know what? When you see me at those conferences, you shake my hand. So it's all good.
Love it. I love the philosophy. And, as we were saying, in a lot of ways, marketing and branding for startups and projects in blockchain and crypto, it's a relatively new industry. It really is. Now, we're involved in an NFT project, and I've learned a lot myself over the past, couple of years, but it's pretty incredible to think that there's actually not a lot of companies that specialize in marketing and branding for a lot of these projects. So many times a team's just thrown together with no idea where to begin or what works. So the question is, why is that? Like, why is marketing and branding sometimes the last thing that these projects think about? And besides, hiring your company, what should they be thinking about maybe?
I think a lot of business owners, because that's what I call them. You are a person who is building a business within a Web3 space. Number one, I think people have the wrong perception of marketing. First-time business owners, most of them. We at G Media, we try to build out marketing campaigns or branding campaigns the same way that Nike or Apple does. There has to be a story to why you went ahead and built this. What's the benefit? And does it go outside of this space too? Like, does it work outside of this space? A lot of people have this thinking of like, okay, we're in this space and in this space only. No, I'd like to see projects get out of this space and have, let's say, Microsoft, or if you're talking about real estate, have some of these big real estate companies use the tech that you're building, number one, benefit you and benefit themselves. Marketing companies that come from Web 2 into Web 3, they don't understand the crowd in Web 3. So they think it's, oh, this is the same crowd that we market to or we do branding for in, the centralized world. It's not. First of all, there are a bunch of apes and alligators running around here. You don't know their real names and you don't know the way their psyche's set up. I do. I live this, like I breathe it. I know the pulse. I know what the people want. And the people want transparency and honesty. And the way we present projects that come and sign deals with us for us to go ahead and be an extension of their marketing company or a marketing department, we just know how to build that narrative and that brand and how to break it down for the average normie that comes into the space.
That's awesome. That's a really good breakdown, because it is true. The last thing they think about is marketing. They come up with a great concept. And they go, now we got to tell people about it. So how do you do that, right? And the other part,
do you want to spend the money? That's the biggest issue, because then, like, I could break it down to you, and I believe it in my heart. I can brand the hell out of anything, but it comes down to money, and people feel like, oh, but marketing shouldn't cost that much, But marketing is one of the most tedious jobs on the planet. To actually develop a storyline, to break down everything and to educate people about your brand, it is tedious. I have to learn what your brand is about. And sometimes I have to question you, hey, like, did you notice you have a flaw in your brand? Maybe correct this before we go out there. People don't want to hear, constructive, feedback or criticism. And right away, it's like, oh, well, I'm not going to pay this amount of money to have somebody tell me about my project. I'm just going to go get somebody to say, buy it. And then they come back to us anyway. So it doesn't matter.
I like it. And the other part of it is, the other part of it that's, somewhat challenging or unique is that you're actually building a community, which is the essence of branding in a way. Like, it's not like you make a widget and you come up with an ad campaign to sell a widget. In this space, you're actually building a community of people that, believe in the project, the founders, the utility, or whatever. So it's different and a lot more, as you say, tedious, laborious, whatever it might be. So what should projects be doing to build a community? So what should projects be doing to build a community?
First of all, it starts with when you say community, what they should be doing is actually engaging with their community. You have a lot of people that have their nose in their ear and they don't make time at all to speak to the people that are supporting them. Like, that's right off the bat. Like I would never support a project that doesn't have the founders or anybody in upper management come out and speak on a daily basis. Like, I make time every single day to come out there on a Twitter space, on a Clubhouse, and engage with the community. And it's not because I'm forcing myself to, it's because I want to. I want to get feedback. If I am somebody who's building something, I want to have something out there every single day talking to people. It could be repetitive. I don't really care, but I want to talk to the people out there, because something within that hour's time, something might hit, and I might have that aha moment and say, you know what? I might be doing something wrong. Let me correct it. All I need to do is just turn the dial a little bit here, and my project goes from here to here. Like, the people really do have really good feedback, and sometimes the community knows more than the owners themselves.
Yeah, that's well put. That is true. Sometimes they see a flaw that you don't, which I think is important. Now, When we think about this, what's been some of the most effective marketing and branding you've seen over the past few years? Anything that stood out to you in terms of a project?
Bored Apes.
Yeah.
Yuga Labs. Like what Guy has been able to do. Shout out to Guy. He has been able to put together a roadmap and execute. Like you talk about execution, Yuga Labs has executed. You know, the Bored Apes were created in essentially, to me, the punks being really high in price. So here comes the apes. From my side is, hey, we're lazy apes and we just got rich. So we're just laying back and we're just chilling. And you had people that went into it, and then the roadmap began. It was just like, now we're going to have mutant apes, so those who missed out on the Bored Apes. So you could still get in. And now we're coming out with a metaverse. If anybody has experienced their metaverse, oh my God. Next time they come out with something, I'm in. Like, I'm first in line. They've made the roadmap enticing for people, even people like myself, to jump into. If you want to look at a project that's really done a great job executing their roadmap, it would be Yuga Labs, the Bored Apes. Listen, they started and the punks were here, and now the apes are here and they own the punks. A hell of a story. It should be on Netflix.
No, absolutely. I think it might be at some point. I mean, they're even partnering with M&Ms now. I don't know if you saw that.
IP ownership.
That's pretty incredible.
I mean,
the brand, building a brand. I mean, it's a case study.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. The thing about them is that they made sure to tell you, look, you own your IP. You own the IP to your NFT. You have people taking their IP, making deals. You had that burger shop in Cali, which opened up a burger joint with the Bored Ape right at the top of the store, packaged on all of the cups and drinks or whatever. Like, it was all Bored Ape. I don't know how much they paid for it to use the IP, but still, that's passive income. I talk about that all the time as well. Passive income. Bored Apes, man, I am going to build something. I am looking at Yuga Labs and the Bored Apes, and I'm trying to figure out how they went ahead and put everything together, because that is a successful model.
Yeah, unbelievable. And I think it's true. You know, it's getting more and more important to describe or explain what you're getting, right, in this space. Like, you know, we're in the age of utility. That's a fact, right, with NFTs. And as predicted, a lot have failed, right? Some are struggling. Some are just getting started. Some are thriving, like Bored Apes and CryptoPunks, as we mentioned. But where are we with NFTs right now in the space, in your opinion? Like, where are things going? Short term, long term?
Long term, I think it's I've said this so many times and I've been saying this since 2017, 18. I think we are hopefully at the phase where we start implementing the technology, the NFT technology, into real estate. I've been saying that for a really long time. I think real estate's where it's at. Titling, like the NFT tech, our real innovators get their hands on it. They can make transactions so much more easier to go about than what we currently have today. And that, an example would be if you went to buy a car, like it takes like 40 minutes to get out of the dealership because you got to sign those papers. Well, if you went ahead and used NFTs, take you 5 minutes, you're in and out, have a nice day, paperwork's all transferred onto your wallet and you're all good to go. Same thing with real estate. Like, there was a transaction on Proply, which literally Michael Arrington, shout outs to him, went ahead and sold his condo in Ukraine within 5 minutes. Like, title transfer done. Buying a house is honestly madness. Like, it's frustrating. It is a frustrating process. But what if all this can be done within, instead of 90 days, what if it can be done in a day's time? And then, like, you're happy. It's a first time purchase. Everybody's on nerves, but I feel like if you had the opportunity to embed NFTs into the entire real estate process, so much easier. I think you'd have more sales. I think people would have more. I think real estate agents should be going crazy and saying we need to implement NFTs, because they would have way more sales. And you know what? Sellers would be able to sell their houses a lot faster.
We've been saying it for years, you know, as we were talking about, you know, our brokerage does transact in crypto, and it's really interesting. We sold a house for Ethereum not too long ago, and the process was so quick, you know, wallet to wallet. It was unbelievable. And there was actually a banker sitting at the table, relative of the purchaser, and they said, you know, in the banking world, this would have taken days, if not weeks, to move this around. And here we were sitting at a table getting it done. You know,
Sure.
so I truly believe that is the next frontier, and we're trying to lead the charge with that as well. And shout out to November 15th, where David Gokhshtein will be speaking on a panel about Web3, cryptocurrency, blockchain, and real estate. That's going to be a fun one. Anyways, let's talk about cryptocurrencies specifically now for a minute. It's been an absolute roller coaster this year. Of course, it's usually tied to the price of Bitcoin, as we know. Thoughts on what we've seen this year with the crash? Why did it happen? What do you see happening over the short and long term now with cryptocurrencies?
So people will say he's into conspiracies. I'm not. It's just, well, we did well. We went all the way to 69. From 35, we went to 69. So I wouldn't say it's bad at all. And all the major institutional players and corporations, essentially, like people leave out corporations. They're not this. Institutions and corporations are two different things. So Apple hasn't gone in yet with their $300 billion dollars in real cash. But once they start coming in, you know, the $69,000 number is going to look funny, and people will be scratching their heads and saying, "Man, I wish I would have got in at this point." But obviously, due to the economy, I feel like also a lot of manipulation within the markets by the big boys, like, you know, BlackRock, which I despise, and Fidelities of the world. They went ahead and got the price to go down, and, you know, they bought their bags back. They're DCAing and they're buying their bags cheaper. And that's how the big boys play. You also had a lot of companies that were over leveraged as well. You know, they were new to the industry. They over leverage, and they, you know, you have the Celsiuses and you have 3ACs and Voyagers that all got destroyed because, you know what, they play their hands wrong. So BlockFi as well. I think we make a huge comeback though, because I think the next run you will see everybody in, and you'll see more regulation. And who does regulation benefit? It benefits the corporations and the institutions. It doesn't benefit somebody like myself, or, you know, the regular person walking out there in the street today using the Robinhood app. It doesn't benefit them. It benefits those big companies that are going to come in here, and they'll know that they are protected. My only problem with this, Dave, is that I came into this space and we chanted free market. Free markets, free markets. That's what we were looking for. That was the reason why Bitcoin was created to begin with. Free market. Every time we go up, everybody's screaming free markets, no regulation. Every time we go down, everybody's screaming, including Mark Cuban, is screaming for regulation. Pick one. It has to be one or the other. My biggest thing is that if we don't figure this out, we are going to lose the best innovators in the space to other countries that are more open to having people create really dope things. So I'm scared for that. I'm really scared that we're going to lose a lot of innovators from the United States to other countries. So I hope that the United States gets their stuff together. Stop the narrative. Let's get something that's super crypto friendly and allow people to build. And then, you know what? You know, the Safe Harbor Act, which one of the SEC chairs wants to, put out there, which would allow a company to build for the next 3 years, and then they can classify it as a commodity or a security. That's probably the right approach. Let people build. If they can't build something that's an actual utility within the next 3 years, then okay, label it as security. And then that company will have to go about things with the SEC and all that good stuff. But I think that the next run, not to get away from it, but the next run is going to be, I think it's going to 50 times whatever we experienced on the last one. I really do believe so.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, in talking about institutional adoption, you mentioned BlackRock. They're $1 trillion player, and they've partnered with Coinbase now, right? I don't know if that gives validity to the space now, but what are your thoughts on that partnership? Like,
well, BlackRock's already been here. Like, they just made the announcement though. It's like they've been looking at this space because they're, again, like, all these institutions are smarter than us. And I will always say that. We are goldfish, they are sharks. They've been in the water watching as we've all been having this kumbaya session. And then they came in slowly, just tapping the water. But now this whole Coinbase thing is, hey, we're officially in. It's good for them though, because their clients are asking for this. Their clients want to participate in Bitcoin. They want ownership of Bitcoin. They want it in their portfolios. So BlackRock's going to give it to them. Are they going to jump in immediately and throw $1 or $2 or $3 trillion into the game? I don't think so. They'll slowly, I think, go into the market. But again, for them, it's all about regulation. Like, they want to make sure that their stuff is protected and not have themselves get destroyed, like some of these other institutions that got destroyed a few months, or I would say 2 months back here during this lovely bearish trend that we're going through.
Yeah, interesting. And you know, speaking of regulation in the SEC, following the Ripple XRP case with the SEC, what are your thoughts on that? And I'm not going to ask you to necessarily predict what happens there, but a lot of talk about that. I mean, this has been dragging out for a while now.
The way the SEC went about Ripple was just wrong. There were a lot of people that went into XRP because it was available on exchanges. 2 or 3 or 4 exchanges went ahead and asked the SEC, well, is it okay for us to go ahead and list XRP on here? Is it a security or not? And they didn't get an answer. Ripple goes to the SEC, says, well, how did Ethereum go from being a security to a non-security? They don't get an answer. They get no clarity. And then 8 years later, after people, and the XRP army is huge. After XRP is out there for 8 years, so many people invest into it. On the last day, John Clayton, the commissioner, he's walking out. He throws a case at Ripple. Made no sense. Absolutely no sense. I think, honestly speaking, they're going to win. And it's either settlement, which is highly in their favor, or a just complete victory, which then would change the entire landscape of cryptocurrency, because now you're not under Howey rules anymore. Now you're under Ripple rules, because then everybody will say, well, look at Ripple's case. And that would honestly benefit this entire space, because there would be clarity. There are a lot of people, really cool people, that do really dope things that don't want to innovate because they don't know if they do something here, will they get smacked by the SEC? And that is holding back innovation. And I only speak for the United States. I know in Canada or in Portugal or in Aruba or Barbados, you can go out there and do whatever you want. El Salvador, obviously, you know how they went ahead and made Bitcoin legal tender. You can create. The United States is holding it up. It's time to allow the noose to come off and allow these innovators to innovate. But also at the same time, this has to come from Congress. Congress has to go ahead and say, look, this is going to be the body that oversees. If you guys all want regulation, well, this is the body that oversees crypto. And it has to be one that is pro-crypto, pro-innovation, and not one that literally stifles it.
Very interesting. I love your breakdown of that. And it's well said. Well said. And you did bring up Ethereum. So I want your thoughts on the merger there, what Ethereum's doing there. For those that don't know, maybe you can explain what Ethereum is doing and give your opinion, the big changes to Ethereum here.
I like proof of work. This is probably the only thing I agree with Maxis from the Bitcoin side, the hornets, the cyber hornets that attack. But like they do say, like proof of work, I really do believe proof of work is necessary until you can figure out something else. I think proof of stake will work out well though for Ethereum. And we need something to go out there as big as Ethereum to see if it can work. If Vitalik gave a speech at Futurist, Blockchain Futurist, he said that peer-to-peer shouldn't have all these fees associated with it when you make a transaction. If Ethereum can somehow bring down their fees to 15 cents, 20 cents, $1, $2 even on a transaction, they will flip Bitcoin. Market cap wise, okay, not number wise, because everybody gets that confused. Market cap wise, I can see them flipping Bitcoin just because Ethereum continues to build and people continue to build on Ethereum. So that is something that is not happening on the other side. You can say it's happening, but how many people are building NFTs on top of Bitcoin? Compare it to Ethereum. Ethereum is growing and that entire ecosystem is growing. It is eventually going to happen. A year, 2 years, 3 years from now, there will be a flip unless Bitcoin goes ahead and changes its own narrative. But I'm excited about Ethereum. I don't want to derail it, but I'm excited about what they're doing. With Vitalik, he does not rush for anybody. And, you know, Ross McDonald reminds me of this all the time, the CEO of Golshtein Media. He's constantly saying Vitalik will take his time before he puts something out there. And I agree with him. He doesn't listen to the crowd. He's going to make sure that once he puts something out there, that it does work or that it needs minor fixing or maintenance to be done on it. That's it. So I'm okay with waiting. Even if they come out right now and say there's a delay until 2023, I'm okay with it because I know that he is going to put something out there that will revolutionize our space.
Yeah, the interesting thoughts. You know, he's a very interesting guy. And when I was listening to that whole speech about what they're doing with Ethereum 2.0, as a brand, Ethereum's been really good and successful as a brand, actually, right? Vitalik he's really revered in the space now because of it. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting is he started talking about how the energy consumption will be reduced 99.9% now, and got a big applause. As a brand, people are like, oh, wow, that's genius. The narrative is like, oh my God, this is so much better than Bitcoin because of the energy consumption. Again, branding and marketing.
That's all branding and marketing.
It's all branding and marketing. That's why he said it. And that's why he got the cheer. His theory around that, or what they want to accomplish, or their mission around, reducing fees, it's valid. And if they accomplish it, I think, like you said, I think you're absolutely right. It becomes, in some ways, a lot more popular. I think Bitcoin maxis sometimes shoot themselves in the foot, because they listen. We had
sometimes.
Well, we had Saifedean Ammous on recently, right, on the show, the author of the Bitcoin Standard, and I tried to get him to bite on anything, not Bitcoin, anything. Is there any type of utility, any use case that you can see a value? And he would not do it. Even when you brought up the question of like, what happens when all Bitcoin is mined? What happens then? Because now it's not proof of work, right? You're going to have to listen to that episode to find out what he said. But the point is, Bitcoin maxis talk about, in some cases, pseudo intellectuals, as we say, or whatever, or the cult-like thinking. The space is evolving. You can't ignore the utility behind some of these products and projects. Anyways, fantastic thoughts. I appreciate you breaking that down. Other headlines this year, we've seen some pretty serious, hacks and data leaks this year. Can you speak on the importance of security for anyone getting into the space?
Unfortunately, we are in such a new space that, these things will happen. I think, obviously, like Vitalik said, that bridging is a problem. It's something super new, and it wasn't really created within the grand scheme. So, we really do need our best innovators. Go back to our best innovators again to figure it out, to make it safe, to where you don't have so many of these hacks happen. You had one with Harmony. Harmony suffered $100 million hack on their bridge, and a project that was stellar and had a lot to offer to the space is now literally on its knees trying to figure out how to get back up again. And who knows if they ever will. It'll take some time. It's like, listen, I don't want to compare this space to the internet because it's so much different. It is so much different. But the internet also had its hiccups, and anything in general that has been, like cars, planes, like they've all had their hiccups. And so we're going through that phase, but we're living through it. The people that come in here or come into the space 5 years from now, they won't go through it. They'll hear stories about it, but they'll never go through it. We'll be the veterans and the OGs that have gone through it. But that's what happens with innovation, and I'm all for it. Listen, good, keep creating. Obviously, the hacks really do suck, but I really do wish, and I say this a lot on my podcast, and I say this on Spaces or on Clubhouse. I wish these hackers would just find the exploit, show it to the protocol, because we're all here trying to build, right? And if you're already in this space and there's an exploit, just show it to the project. And these projects should have rewards. I mean, big time rewards. Hey, we'll give you $3 million if you can go ahead and find an exploit in our bridge, for instance. If somebody does find that, give them the $3 million and hire them. Like, if I am a protocol, I'm giving you $3 million, I'll give you a $5 million sign-up bonus, and I'm hiring you to find something wrong within our protocol to make sure that our protocol can be attacked. And that's something that these hackers should think about, and not just go for that one-time, the one-time payment and try to go through Tornado Cash, which is no longer available to them at this point. Get a job, man. To make about $5 million annually, not a bad gig to sit on an island and just type on a computer and figure shit out with code. Oops, sorry about that.
Are you a new real estate agent or thinking about getting a real estate license? If so, you're going to want to ask about the Greater Property Group's Agent Scholarship Program. Why pay for the cost of the course yourself when the Greater Property Group will subsidize the cost for you? Make sure you reach out and get all the details on the Greater Property Group's Agent Scholarship Program. Interesting too, some of the other headlines just with the altcoins this year, Canada just came out with an announcement that they're going to be capping, the amount of money, an individual can spend on altcoin, which is just shocking. And not all provinces, by the way, is what I'm reading, but I think they capped it at 30K, I think, in altcoins. But, there's been a lot of weird, things happen, Luna, right? Yeah. For example, what did you think of that, by the way? First thoughts that come to mind.
You would have to bleep out this entire section here in this podcast. I think that there is no way that you can actually maintain 20% APY. Look, algo stable coins, you need somebody like Vitalik to work on it, because Vitalik's brain is just on a different, I think he's an alien. If they would have bought Bitcoin at around 3,000, 4,000, I think that I don't believe Luna would have went down. I think they still would have survived. Being that they bought it at, I think, an average of $30,000, $32,000, and they tried to back a UST, that hurt them badly. As you saw, it depegged and everything went to crap, and then people turned it into a meme token. So yeah, it did hurt the industry, because now the people that hate this industry will use all these things that happen to showcase why this industry can't work, instead of saying, here's the 5% that they're showing you, but the 95% that, the stuff that actually does work, that won't be showcased. We're going to talk about Bitcoin, and it's, you mentioned about, Bitcoin using energy and stuff, but how much energy does it really use? Does it use more energy than the politicians flying in on G5s, to go ahead and get to their offices? Cows, do they let off more pollution than Bitcoin? Like, I can go ahead and name a bunch of stuff that people might cringe to as well. But like, at the end of the day, I don't think that, Bitcoin really, with the type of stuff that Bitcoin is creating, they're going more energy efficient too. Like, there are a lot of people that are mining with energy efficiency in mind. So I think proof of work will still stay around, by the way. I just think I'll be with you on this thing where you were mentioning it on the last note. What happens when everything is minded? Like, you're going to have to change, and change needs to start now. It can't start right when you're about to go ahead and mine out all the Bitcoin.
Yeah. Well said. Interesting thoughts. Now, we can't talk to you without talking about Web3. Everybody's moving to, or talking about anyways, moving to Web3 or having some involvement in it. We see mainstream companies, big companies that are adjacent to it, talking about it. Where are we with Web3? What are your thoughts on the development of that space?
I don't even think anybody knows what Web3 means.
Yeah, it's possible.
Every time I ask somebody, what's Web3? They're like, well, it's Web3. I'm like, yeah, but what is it? Like,
I actually heard a really interesting quote about what Web3 is. Web3 is the internet of value, which I thought was good.
Somebody finally got creative with branding, so to me, Web3 it is that. And also I look at it as centralized companies are coming into this space, and it's just a flip that's happening currently right now. Because you have the Nikes, the Pumas, all of them are coming into this space. For me personally, I think they're trying to build another revenue stream and also trying to acquire more users. Once you build an NFT, for instance, like, you should be building your NFT with bringing more people to your brand and continuing to own your brand and likeness. That's how I look at Web3. But there's really no real definition of Web3. You got Jack Dorsey that's came out with Web 5. We've skipped Web 4, by the way. We went right to 5, and somebody's going to come out with 10. I just would really like a real definition of what Web 3 is. But to me, it's more so like, just all these big companies coming in and using the technology that we have now built and, positioning themselves into, I guess, Web 5 or Web 7 or Web 9 or whatever it is. We're still, honestly, Dave, like, this is still the AOL stage. If we want to go ahead and compare the space and what Web3 is, well, I think Web3 is probably what AOL was when it allowed more than 23 people into a room. And then you got your DSL modem instead of using that. So that's what I think it is.
Yeah, if anything, it's a buzzword right now. You got people talking about Web3, or should we? And they don't even, like you said, they don't even know what it is or what the value would be to their company. I had somebody talking to me about Web3 the other day. I said, it does nothing for you. Like, this is not This is not what your company does. It's not your brand. There's no point. It's just in a lot of ways, it's a buzzword and everybody's talking about it. However, there are specific applications to the technology that everybody's talking, or in the ecosphere of Web3 as they relate to certain industries. Real estate's one of them. So anyways, okay, moving along. This is the personal development section, David.
Okay.
Personal development section. We always like to ask successful entrepreneurs, what's your daily routine look like?
Okay. So I wake up at about 6 o'clock in the morning, and then I make sure to drink water. I don't think
this is true. I don't think this is true at all.
Yeah, you should ask Ross.
This is true. Okay.
Ross has tried to get me drunk multiple times, and I've just said no. Like, I will not take a shot of anything. I'm a fitness freak. I like to exercise. I will take 2 hours out of the day to make sure that I get, leg day in. I'm getting chest and shoulders, shoulders and back. I'm doing everything to make sure that I'm not just sitting in my chair and looking at charts, which I really don't much. I DCA all day. Those that are stuck looking at charts, they don't get off their tails at all. I want to make sure that, like, with all these gains and everything that I'm doing, that I am alive and healthy and able to walk, so I can participate and continue to participate within this space. But my daily routine: get up, drink. Well, you should brush your teeth too. Put on some clothes that have gone into the laundry and that are steamed right. And then I'm just working. I'm just working nonstop. Like, I work nonstop. My brain doesn't stop. I think about everything. I'll overthink sometimes, which I'm practicing now not to overthink too much. Just to, if I feel it in my gut, go with it. And if it doesn't work out, there's no plan B or C. It's still plan A. Just make a correction to it. And then, I go to sleep probably at 2 o'clock, and then again, it rinse and repeat. The cycle continues until I can. I don't know if I'll ever stop, Dave. Honestly, I kind of thought about. Somebody asked me this question. They said, once you get there, will you stop the insanity? And I said, I don't know. Like, I should, but I don't know if I ever will. I don't know if I ever will. I love this space too much. I have a good time here. I'm thankful that I no longer work in corporate. For 15 years was hell. A lot of benefits, but when you wake up to it and you see that you really do not have the freedom or the ability to really level yourself up, it's really sad, because it's like you've wasted 15 years on not developing yourself. Since we're talking about developing, right? Mm-hmm. You haven't really taken the chance to, bet on yourself. You should always bet on yourself. Give it a try. Worst case scenario, you fail and you go back to working wherever you were supposed to work. But step outside your comfort zone. It's so many motivational and inspirational speakers speak about this, right? Step outside the box. Take a chance on yourself. It really is true. You got to have that fear, because fear allows you to go ahead and succeed. I really believe that. Like, having that fear will allow you to go ahead and succeed. If you don't fear nothing, I think you'll never level up.
Well said. I really like that. That's great advice for, young entrepreneurs as well. What do you do for fun then? I know this is really tough for entrepreneurs to answer, successful entrepreneurs, because they get really stumped. I say, what do you do for fun? And they go, because they work. They work. I don't know. Like, I wish, like, fun. This is fun, I guess. Me being able, you have an audience, I have an audience. We can speak about, the things that you do in your industry, the things that I do. I like to, I'll tell you what's fun. What's fun is, I know that I'm building something that will help people get out of their current situations. And then at a certain point, I'm going to go out there and do things that other people say that they do. And that is build workshops for people that are not in a position to be able to study. I want more people to get into this space and get some sort of certificate to where they can work for one of these companies and, make a hell of a living and enjoy their families and be comfortable. Because that's really all that we seek, right? Do you need $50 million to be comfortable? No, I don't believe so. You can
some people just need $50,000 to go ahead and live the life that they're looking for. So to me, that is probably what's fun for me is that aspect.
Very cool. 2 questions left. This one's going to really make you think, David. This one's going to make you think.
Then you go, let's see steam come out.
This is a tough one, but it's a fun one. If you could have dinner with any 3 people in history, past or present, who would they be and why? Got to pick 3.
Past or present, right?
Past or present.
Right. So I would definitely pick Muhammad Ali.
Good pick.
Because the mindset, I don't know if you've ever watched any of his stuff, he was so quick. Forget about on his feet and fighting. He was just quick mentally, with the things that he said. And his thought process to me was, like he put on this act, but you can see this man was super intelligent. And I would have loved to pick his brain on a lot of things besides boxing. I would have loved to speak to Tesla, because I think this man was just, I don't even think, it's just proven that he was ahead of his time. And I would love to know, where was he getting these ideas, and was he from this planet? Because some of the things that are still out there, like, people still can't create. And it's literally, if you could create it, it would revolutionize or bring things to this world that would be freaking amazing. Third, the last one, I'm gonna go with Kobe.
Ooh, I like it.
God bless him. Rest in peace, Kobe. But the mindset, his mindset, he was so determined, to be the best. Like, I didn't say Jordan. I could have went with Jordan because I mean, for all intents and purposes, people compare those two. They're like, Kobe was like Jordan light kind of thing. But Kobe was so determined to win, and he wasn't happy or satisfied even when he won the championships that he won. To me, like, I study Kobe Bryant, I read his stuff, I watch his stuff still. That's a mindset that I've developed, that Mamba mentality of like, no, there is no quitting. And you can't, like, you can't be high or you can't be too low. It just has to be middle. I'd love to go ahead and speak to him, especially the stuff that he was saying after retiring. It made so much sense. And like, he finished with basketball, went on to a different career, which he was getting there. He was so successful, won an Oscar. I mean, like, would have loved to sat down with all 3 gentlemen and have a talk with them.
Yo, what a dinner table. So we got Muhammad Ali, Nikola Tesla, and Kobe Bryant. Wow, what a dinner table. Okay, final question. When all is said and done, David, what do you want to be known for? What is the David Gokhshtein G Media legacy? What does that look like?
I want to be known in this space as, this show is amazing. This is like, I'm gonna cry. No, I really want to be known as somebody who helped pave the way, or one of the people that paved the way for the younger generation to get in and to really understand money, because we weren't afforded that opportunity. I really didn't know what money meant until I got a hold of Bitcoin. I just want that young generation to have the same. I want their path to be easier. I want us, the OGs, to pave the way, pave that road for them to just get their cars and just drive on a freeway without no potholes, and to continue to build, this phenomenal industry. If I can help with that, I feel like my legacy is good. And I also I want to help people as much as I can. The people that we always state that we're going to help, we never help. So I'd like to be somebody who goes around and actually puts these programs into place, and again, helps people that are less fortunate or aren't in the position of having a way to get in and just be comfortable within their lives.
Well put. Fantastic thoughts. I really appreciate the way you broke that down. And David, I want to thank you immensely for joining us today. It was good to hear your story, of course, your thoughts and perspectives on the current state of the union and blockchain, crypto, Web3, all of that stuff. Really, really fascinating stuff. Where can the people find you, or where do you want them to follow you and connect with you?
You can follow me on my personal account, David Gokhshtein, at David Gokhshtein on Twitter. Same thing for Instagram, same thing for TikTok. I'm doing those dance. I'm trying to do, I'm just kidding, but you can follow me on TikTok. And then we have Gokhshtein Media. The they're all verified. So Gokhshtein Media, please follow us on Gokhshtein Media. We do work hard to provide content that is literally straightforward. There's no agenda. There's no narrative. Tune into us and GokhshteinMedia.com. And we have a hell of a team led by some incredible people, and they deserve to go ahead and have a tremendous platform, and only you, the community, can go ahead and give them that. So tune into us. We are here for the people, and that's why we do call ourselves the people's blockchain.
Perfect. Thanks for joining us today, David. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dave.